Oh, this is new.
See how beautiful this is, guys.
Yeah, I just started opening that back up since Maria. So I'm gonna clean all that open and put more citrus trees and cocoa and ginger. That's my tangerine, which has started flowering again, praise God. So we'll have tangerine in a couple months.
Nice.
Cocoa, seedless lime, which has on it, it's flowering and has little ones all over.
So that's seedless lime?
Yeah, this is seedless lime, it's flowering right now, and it also has little ones on it somewhere. Yeah, like there.
Oh, nice,
see?
yeah.
So it has big seedless over there.
Alright guys, welcome back to Afwawi TV and Beanie Soldier. We're in the Hatton Garden Heights. And yes, this is my brethren here, David, Rasta David.
We built the first hydro turbine right here to produce our own electricity, which we were doing up until Maria.
Oh.
So I took a year and a half and put cold chisel, with a cold chisel, dug into that boulder to be able to embed the pipes.
Yeah.
And then built up the waterfall a little bit. And then inside that chamber used to have a hydro turbine. And that ran full electricity for my Zion.
Yeah? For how long?
13, 14 years.
Oh, wow, nice.
It's only Maria that took all the power supply and batteries and put it in the river. I had a building right behind us that it took the building and put it into the river during the hurricane.
Yeah.
So it destroyed about 20 grand US in electronics.
Wow.
But before
that's a lot of loss.
Yeah, and I even ran my bakery from that. I had a bakery here that I used to sell bread by Ross University.
Yeah.
And so the water was free, the power was from the river, and the only thing we bought was the gas and ingredients.
So how much did it cost you to get like the...
To do the system?
Yeah.
But this is many years ago, so but back in that time, it was, I think I paid 2 grand US for the turbine itself.
Yeah.
Put about 3-4 grand into building the rest.
Yeah.
And then another 2-3 grand for batteries and inverter. So maybe about 8 grand, something like that.
EC?
No, US.
US.
But that quickly paying for itself because you're not paying for electricity for 20 years.
Sure.
Survived the hurricane, praise God.
So that's a serious lime right there?
Yeah, see this lime. And don't stop flowering and making it beautiful. Yeah, see it has all on that. Orange. That's the lime you just drank.
Oh, nice.
See, I just made the juice. You know? And she's a really nice. Yeah, so that tree is 4 years, about 4.5 years old now.
Seedless
And
lime.
then that's tomato and big breed celery comes.
Right here, tomato and big celery.
Yeah.
Yes, guys, you can see, living naturally, you know, everything comes from the soil. You plant what you eat, what you plant, you know. That's how.
Yeah, that's secret banana, the little big secret bunch.
Oh, those the short ones.
Yeah, that probably. I'm guessing that probably has another 3 weeks or so before it's ready, something like that. You know. That's a pink grapefruit.
Pink grapefruit. So now we're heading down towards the river.
Step right out here. And the top part of that's like a natural jacuzzi because it's so big. You're sitting there and put my roof.
You have a lot of nice pools right here, you know. You can bathe right there. You jump in the water.
Yeah, plenty fish.
Plenty fish, eh?
Yeah.
Crayfish and stuff, eh?
Crayfish, millet,
VO.
and even have river eel.
River eels too, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
And when it comes dome, you know
Dome, no.
Yeah, what kind of catfish?
What type of catfish?
Type of catfish, it feeds off the stones, keeps the fish clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's called what? Dome?
Dome.
And it's a type of catfish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dark gray to black, depending on that.
Wow. No. This is pristine, man.
Only when we have plenty rain will it start to flow.
Yeah, you could see the rock. You could see rock formation. Yeah.
But that used to be a waterfall.
Yeah.
All the time.
This is really
And
nice.
when there's big moonlight,
Yeah.
from about 11:30 to about 1:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
that is crystal clear in the night. And you're seeing moon shadows bouncing off of the trees that are reflecting off of the river. And you can see the fish in the water like it's daytime.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Man, this place is really beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, guys,
Blessed place.
this is Afua with TV, bringing you. And how you call, yeah, Hatton Garden?
Hatton Garden.
Hatton
And
Garden
up here is
Live.
Crapo Hall.
Crapo Hall.
Yeah.
Yes. Crapo Hall. Now,
We in this whole racial problem now. We in this whole finally confronting white supremacy and dealing with the shit out in the open a little bit. But we're still operating on the wrong context. Because all of us have been fed the wrong history, because we always fed the history from the winner and not from the reality. So, to my mind, there's only two main evolutions in the world that happened in humanity, and now they're crisscrossing. Okay, so in places that it was cold, they never had enough food, and they were always struggling to make it through the winter. And therefore they were not very grateful for creation. They were not grateful for what was there, because there wasn't enough there to be grateful for.
yeah.
And so they didn't have a deep connection with great gratitude in their godliness.
Yeah.
So for them, God was a dangerous, harsh being, and that life was a dangerous, harsh thing, and that the only good thing about life would be afterlife. Why? Because their life was pretty harsh. So they developed tools, because everybody just wanted to make sure they could get through the winter and feed their family and a little bit fuck the neighbor, because they may starve, and better me than them, and or better they starve than me, kind of thing. And so they had tool evolution.
Yeah.
And all their concentration was developing enough tools that they could do enough things themselves for their own little clique to survive the winter. Okay, that's one side.
Yeah.
But in the warmer places in the world, in Africa, even in the Middle East, we always had a gratitude for the creation that we lived in. Why? Because we had food. We had a bounty of food. We had plenty to be grateful for. So what we evolved with was something very different. We needed to harvest together. We weren't fighting each other for one carrot to survive the winter. We were fighting to harvest together before the rain and the sun spoils the crops. So for us to survive, we had to work together. We had to be cooperative with the bounty, the other side of the equation. So we developed in social. We learned to love. We learned to have empathy and compassion and gratitude and all the good aspects of God that need to be spread. But the barbarian, who only had his tools, developed the tool of the gun. And that won over reason. And all this version of history that we have, that somehow somebody more civilized or somebody more developed or more skillful or better in some inherent or endemic way than us, that's why they're superior, has nothing to do with it at all. It has to do with brutality, destroying people who were loving, because the people who were loving had no idea that life could be that desperate, because they had never been in that kind of desperation. And when that desperate culture spread out, it conquered. Now, finally, maybe, we wake up enough to talk about real history and real humanity and real aspects of evolution. The real evolution that matters is how we evolve. And the more that the barbarian or that the Neanderthal or the more brutal being is allowed to have control, the more you'll have hierarchy, the more you'll always have master-slave, because that's all he knows. So praise God, now we're seeing in Africa, for example, we're seeing that they're making economic zones for themselves, that we are seeing a reclamation of power and rights. But along with that also has to be a proclamation about what is Africa's evolution, what is the Middle East's evolution, what is Asia's contribution and evolution to this, is that where the empathy needs to come from is the cultures that have the empathy already. Instead of trying to take a vicious capitalism and make it humanitarian, which is the opposite of what capitalism is. Capitalism is based on making wealth, and to make wealth you must exploit somebody.
Yep.
So the only
For
way
sure.
we get real evolution and real conquering of white supremacy is to conquer the white version of reality, which is that there always must be a loser to have us win. That there always must be an under to have somebody standing above. And none of that is necessary, because we've proven that, for example, the communalism of Africa survived 10,000 years before communism was even thought of by the Karl Marx fellow. And communism failed. Why? Because the people who was trying to do it didn't have the evolution yet in their own mind to have the empathy and love for each other, to share and be a communalistic society. If now that the dimensions are changing, and finally it's not going to be majority white European bred people in America, maybe it's time for America to start learning from those who are more evolved than them in certain areas, the way that we come to America and learn things that they're more evolved in than us. In tools, they're much more evolved. But for anywhere to find peace, they have to learn from those who have love. And that doesn't come out of Europe. That doesn't come out of America. The people who have come to America are the ones who could actually teach that. For us, the mosquito is a pest.
Yeah.
It's troubling us, sucking our blood.
Yeah.
So we want to destroy it. The problem with that is that the male mosquito, who doesn't drink any blood at all, is the second biggest pollinator in nature after the honeybee. But if we wiped out the mosquitoes, we would destroy our own food crops, because the male mosquito is the one who's pollinating the same things we need to eat. So if he can't reproduce, then he can't pollinate. And as the world destroys the bee population, we're even more dependent on the male mosquito. We look at something as saying it's a terrible thing, but we couldn't do without that same terrible thing.